Okay, let's talk about recycling a little bit.
Sure.
You know better than either of us here about the current state of recycling worldwide. Tell us about that right now.
I see back in I think it was 2018 when we changed. I may be off by a year, but everyone will. If you've been here since then, everyone will understand it was one of those years where we made a slight change. Well, it wasn't a major change. We made a slight change to what you were able to put into the green bin, right? When China decided that they were going to, for the most part, not accept most of the United States recyclables, right, due to contamination levels, that kind of caused a rift in the entire industry, both in the folks that are providing the service at the curb and the folks that are sorting it and trying to sell it to a third party, and a myriad of steps are involved in recycling. And it's slowly starting to come back, but again, it also depends on who your material and recovery facility is and who they are selling their products to, right? Because they can't collect, right? Our partner here in San Angelo is Butts Recycling. So Butts Recycling is not the bad guy because we can't bring mixed paper, right? We can't bring mixed paper because they don't have an outlet for it. And we don't accept certain numbers of plastics, right? We accept 1s and 2s because the other ones, there hasn't been an outlet for it. If an outlet became available for it, then I would imagine, I can't speak for Butts, but I would imagine if an outlet became available for those, we would have the product. Why would they? They would probably want it. But that just hasn't happened yet, right? Recycling is still in this recovery phase. Cardboard is good, right? The Amazons of the world and things like that, people ordering online is big, right? And so cardboard is always going to have a pretty strong market, as are the plastics number 1s and number 2s, right? So those are the ones that are easily accessible. A lot of our everyday products are provided in plastic number 1s and 2s, and that's what drives that market, right? It's what's available, and so there's a lot of those, and they typically are cleaner and they're easier to sort, they're easier to bale, and that's what the folks that the recyclers are selling to, that's what they want, right? So it's kind of a trickle-down effect. You're not going to be able to accept at the curb what does not have a final value on the end result, whoever that may be, right? Step number 5, it has to have a value because they're going to tell step number 4, hey, we don't want this. So step 4 still, and so then it comes down to the people picking it up at the curb saying, hey, look, we can't take this because we can't do anything with it. So it just becomes garbage at the end of the day. No matter where the end of the day is, it becomes garbage. And that's why the decision was made, hey, we need to pull it from the green bins because it wasn't being recycled anyway, right? Or at that point it was, and then we were told, here's the hard date, here's the hard stop, and you're unable to take it anymore. So we'll see in the future, right? No one knows, right? It just depends. There's a lot of volatility in the world. So everyone is watching. The recycle experts, are watching and seeing what's going to go on, and maybe down the road things will start to come back into the stream.
So as far as the things we can recycle, I know it's important. We already said don't bag those. Mm-hmm. It's also important to make sure that your things are clean. Anything else you want to talk about with that?
Yeah, so the cleanliness of the recyclables is really what drove this major market change years ago, right? Because China was the number one buyer of U.S. recyclables, right? And so when the China sword happened, it was they're just contaminated, right? They're dirty. And what they mean by dirty, they don't mean that they're full of product. They just mean they didn't meet their standard, right? Which they have to be pretty clean. So rinsing, if you look at an aluminum can, right, of, green beans or whatever we're buying, and all it takes is just it's just a quick rinse and a quick dry, right? You want to keep it dry because you don't want mold, right? It's just it's an empty, clean, and dry, right? That's always been the campaign all around the nation, right? Empty, clean, and dry, and that's how you keep the recycling program as robust as possible. And that's the people that really love recycling have zero problem doing that. But there's a certain part of the population, and it's their right, that aren't recyclers, and they don't want to take the time to do it. And that's perfectly fine, but don't put it in the recycle bin, right? If you don't want to recycle, then don't take that tin can that is full of whatever it is and put it in your recycle bin, because you're contaminating the entire load. So if you don't want to do it, let's have the cleanest recyclables that we can in the city. And if you want to recycle, do it, and let's do it right. And if you're just against recycling or don't want to take the time to do it, well, then just don't do it wrong, right? We would love for everybody to do it the right way, but we would prefer not have the contamination levels. And if you just don't want to do it, toss it in the garbage. We'd love for you to recycle it, but we don't want the whole loads contaminated, because recycling's not, something that you're into.
Well, we have people that drive around looking for contaminated bins, right, to hopefully get ahead of them. I rode along with Art from our solid waste department. That's what he does every day, is he drives around trying to get ahead of the trucks so they don't dump the contaminated. And I was shocked at what people were putting in the green bins. So if the driver sees something sticking out of a green can that's obviously not recyclable, are they going to dump that into their truck?
They're not.
Okay.
So if a driver knows that, and let me say, Art is an absolute asset to the city's recycling program, right? Art does a tremendous job of trying to stay ahead of it, trying to educate. He is an asset to this program. But so the answer is no, right? If a driver is going to, and again, that's where that PDV system comes in. If a driver pulls up to my house and I clearly have styrofoam and we see a lot of water hoses. I don't know why water hoses break all the time. We see a lot of rubber water hoses. Styrofoam is a big thing because people think that's recyclable, and it makes sense. And I can see where people think that, right? I can see where they think styrofoam, because they would associate it with being recyclable like plastic. It's not, right? It's garbage. And we see a lot of, we've seen some animals, but the thing that really surprised me the most is babies' diapers, and why we would think that would be recyclable. And I've called people about it, and they're like, I just thought that would be something that could be recyclable. And
used.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know where that comes. We see it a lot. It's really interesting. But we see.
Do you throw your baby's diapers?
I don't.
Thank you.
I don't.
Thank you for that.
My trash can. I have a toddler. My trash can smells awful because it's a diaper. But
yeah. No, we thank you for that. But we also see a lot of people trying to compost, and we do not have a compost program in the city, and the compost does not go into the green bin, and yes, it's a green bin, right? It's green, but it's not a compost bin. And so please, we do not want any of that. We don't want leaves, right? I think people move here, right? We're growing, right? We love people to move here. We love San Angelo to grow. And I think people may come from some other markets that might have had a green waste program, right, where you can put leaves and things like that at the curb, and a truck comes by and only picks up the green waste. It's popular all over the place in some of the large cities, and so I think that's where maybe some of that is coming from. Because the minute we say, "Hey, they can't really do that," like, "Oh man, I used to do that back home. I'm so sorry." So I think a lot of that is education, because they were used to doing it someplace else. But this is a single stream. Sorted facility, and it is not a compost facility. It's not green waste, so we don't want any branches. We don't want anything like that. This is plastic number 1s and 2s, and cardboard, and aluminum and tin cans, things of that nature. Right? That's what we put in our recycle bins. And be quite honest with you, it's the things that we're using the most in our homes.
Well, we have a list of all the accepted items on our website. I'll put that somewhere down here that you can go to, coastatx.us/trash. And is that also on the top of the green bin on what is accepted? Or was that earlier when everything got removed? So that's probably not a good
Yeah, I
point
would
of
not.
reference?
Yes.
Okay.
Thankfully those are starting to kind of fade and not be, mine is, mine I can't read. So, we just couldn't, when we made that change, it's almost an impossible, it's an impossible feat to go out there and change, 31,000
Sticker on top of the cans.
stickers on top. It's just something that.
So go to our website.
Go to the website. It's super simple. Yeah.
Anything else you want to add about recycling?
No, I would just like to reiterate that recycling is every other week, and it is not weekly. With we see several, more than several. It's a big city. A lot of folks still think that. I would advise them to go on the website and check their maps. We see a lot of recycling coming out with garbage, and that's true on your recycle day, right? But we see a lot that are out every week, and those are the folks that are calling in saying we miss recycle, and it's it's a lot of work to kind of vet what's amiss, and those are the easy ones, right? You pull up a map and you just say, well, I'm sorry, Mr. or Mrs. It's this was your bulk day, so those are pretty easy, but you still have to do it, right? It's a lot of vetting and a lot of we have to figure out, was it a true miss? We need to go back there, and so we highly encourage everybody to know your schedule.
Go to the website for that, and you can check your map and see if you're in the red or blue region. We've got an interactive map that you can zoom in on, and it's pretty clear. So, I personally, another tip from me, I print out my map and I put it on my fridge so I can see, because I forget all the time, is it recycling or is it bulk?
So do I.
Another reminder. There you go.
I do too. My neighbors ask me, and I go, well, I was just about to ask you. So, and
it's so true, though. I mean, I'm guilty of that. I go out and I look down and see what everybody's doing, and I'm like, that seems right.
Yep.
And if it's not, then I go to the website and I check. So, I mean, even us, sometimes we have to double check and make sure. So,
Well, Brian, I'm going to print you one, and
Okay,
you're
good.
going to put it on your fridge
Good
too,
deal.
and be like me and Joe.
Okay, cool.